Here's an example of how to implement your nutrition relative to your goal. This is something I did when we started Jetlag Chef, as I wanted to show how the meals could be incorporated into your lifestyle and to give a visual representation to help our clients with any goals they may have. This was my start point. My calorie intake and macros were set in the same method as the previous video. I then planned a food diary to hit this calorie intake and macro breakdown. This was done with Jetlag Chef meals and 3 to 4 other meals that I'd planned with the same calories and macros to make it easy when eating outside of the Jetlag Chef meals. I plan to have a higher carb intake around the times I was most active, and we'll touch upon this in a future video. At the end of the first week, I weighed myself and I'd lost 2 kilos. This was far too much. Remember, I was trying to lose 500 grams per week to ensure the majority was from body fat. I did feel okay, but I knew this wasn't sustainable, so I upped my calories by 200 per day. Usually I would advise to adjust by only 100 calories per day, but I knew this was a substantial loss. At the week 2 weigh-in, I lost around 1 kilo. Again, this is slightly too much and would probably have been some muscle mass as well as fat loss, which we were trying to avoid. I increased my calories by another 100 per day, mainly around my training sessions. At the end of the 3rd week weigh-in, weight loss had come down to that 500 grams per week target that we were aiming for. Now I could just maintain the same intake for the following week. Weeks 4 and 5 went to plan, and I continued to make that 500 gram weight loss per week goal. As with anything, no plan is perfect, and it'll take some trial and error to find what works for you. My output could have been slightly more than we calculated for in those first weeks, so it was important for me to adjust. If I hadn't have tracked my average weight for the week, I wouldn't have adjusted my intake, and it would have been almost impossible for me to maintain. Towards the end of the 6 weeks, I didn't see much movement in the scale day to day, which can play tricks on your mind, but I was still hitting that 500 gram weight loss per week that we had planned for. Pictures can help give some perspective, as you can see the change in the physique more than the change on the scale. I then applied what I'd learned in this fat loss phase consistently for the next 2 years. Not being too strict with tracking, but eating to maintenance so I could maintain my performance in training, and tracking more closely when I felt I needed to. A time frame of how long to diet is important, and I would include a diet break where you eat at maintenance for a certain period of time for anything over 8 weeks.